Oh my God, we're doing it. Okay, cool. So we're here, first episode of the second season. And I don't know if you guys know, but we matched up the cousins. Me and Megan actually matched up the cousins very scientifically. And so you two were chosen to be together. I don't really have concrete reasons, but just energetically, I just felt that you two should be interviewed together. So we'll get into that. But how are you feeling about being interviewed? Do you guys like this type of attention, or are you kind of like uncomfortable, or how do you
I
feel?
didn't know it was an interview. I thought you guys were just talking and we're listening.
How do you feel, Cole?
That didn't fly with the focus groups. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's a little funky, but oh, it's fine.
Okay, cool.
So who are you guys? Let's go with the oldest. Shane, who are you? Your position in the family, all that. Your relation? How do you fit into this massive group?
Well, I think I'm the oldest male cousin, and so probably
Hmm.
the third oldest cousin out of the group. But yeah, the oldest male cousin, and
Are
yeah,
you
that
older than Corey? One notch above Corey?
yeah,
So
Okay.
Jamie, Julie, Shane.
hmm
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
that's
Whoa.
me.
And
And
then
Cole,
Cole.
you're like number
Um, Jamie,
Jamie,
Julie,
Julie.
Shane, Corey, Clay, Cole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you are. You're like
this
right in the middle.
Yep.
Who are your parents? Who are your parents, you guys?
Your brother, Court, and Barbara.
Awesome.
Love it.
yeah,
Court and
Mama
Barbara.
Elisa, the wonderful Elisa, and
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
just her. Just kidding.
You've had a couple other
Okay.
options in there. Very
Yeah,
important people. Yeah.
insert dad of the era, which has been Steve for the last 36 years, so or 30.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Stevie. Okay, guys. So, first question, true question, besides who the hell are you, is I feel like now that we're all so separate, some of us have kids, we don't get together as much. Like, I feel like what I was most curious about is Shane, I have a little obviously insight into your day to day, but full with your new little baby and another on the way, curious just like typical day in your guys' life. Like, you wake up, what do you do? What's on your mind? Where do you go? What is your job like? There's like a rundown of a typical day.
Wake up. I've got a little office downtown Bend, and I live kind of close to downtown Bend, so it's like a 3 or 4 block walk into the office. So wake up, have a little breakfast, a little coffee, hang out with Ren for a little bit, and then go down into the office, and then come back in the afternoon and relieve Mama a little bit, and try to do something fun with Ren. And then before you know it, you got to cook dinner, and then it's bedtime, and then you get the kid down for bed, and it's like, oh, now it's my bedtime, and then day over. So I feel like that's been an adjustment with kids. I feel like you don't realize, I guess, before you have kids, how much time you had. And I don't know what I did with it, but yeah. So big change there, but it's super fun to have a little kid. But that's my day-to-day life in that way. And then as far as work goes, still working for the family company. That's up and down. Sometimes pretty sweet, sometimes it's pretty stressful, but it's been working out. So
I want to circle back to the whole working with your family because that's like another question I have. But on the weekend though, like what are you guys doing just to relax? What do you guys typically
um,
get into?
we've got a lot of friends out here, and I think we've got something like 10 kids under the age of 4 in our group of friends. And then Lisa's due on Christmas. We got like two or three other friends that are having kids in the next probably 6 months. So just an absolute baby factory out here with our group of friends. So getting together and just a bunch of kids running around, hanging out, having dinners, going over to people's houses, sometimes going to a brewery or somewhere where they've got kind of an outdoor space and playground area to keep the kids entertained so the parents can take a sec and chat. But and then every now and then Lisa will kind of do a girls' night, or I'll do a guys' night, or go golfing with Mason, or whatever. But most of the time, if we're around the kids.
Hmm. That's insane. I feel like you kind of created the life that a lot of people want, is like a little cult of your people and all of your friends having kids at the same time, and like how amazing that is to just like go through that phase of life all together.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's okay. I
And
I can picture your life a little
I
bit
saw
more.
some of that with Shane's group too when they came over for
Hmm.
Megan's party. All those people that you'd been hanging around with all these years, now they all have children.
Mhm.
It's a
Hmm.
bizarre thing. You guys are very lucky. I never had that. I never had
Hmm.
friends with babies. I never had friends. But anyway, Shane. Shane, what about you? Typical day.
Oh, yeah, I remember those days, Cole. Those are good days. Enjoy them, and now it's just the next phase of that. It's very similar though. Megan and I wake up. We both enjoy having coffee together in the morning, and her job and role is to get the kids dressed and their hair done and all that stuff. And I make the lunches for the kids, and then I take them to school. Then come back, and Megan's a hardworking mama, so she's working 8 to 10 hours a day. So she's off to work. And in between the drop off and then the kid pickup is when I squeeze in my work time. So, middays. And luckily, my mom's great and has the kids a day or two a week. So, but my typical day is dropping the kids off, getting what I can done at the house and work in between picking them up and getting one of them to practice, which I either am the coach of the team or supporting that and running there. So, we have 5 games to navigate this weekend, and typical weekend is 2 softball games for Rumi, a soccer game, a couple soccer games for Maze,
Hmm.
currently. And yeah,
It's
so
so wild. That's
That's so
yeah,
insane.
much.
yeah. So every afternoon is me making a practice plan for all of Rumi's friends and having a good practice, and that's very fulfilling to me. So that's something that I thoroughly enjoy and enjoy doing. So yeah, the dad coach life, but it's beautiful because this community is more now our friends are kind of the sports friends and the kids that they
Yeah.
enjoy being around, and we spend a lot of time with those families on the weekend. So it's not as much getting together and watching the kids run around. It's watching them run around the fields and being a part of a team together. So have that nice community in town, and still are good, close, long-term friends like Brandon mentioned too. So it's a good community that we have, but it's always changing. So Cole's got a unique kind of cult situation, but ours seems to change and evolve. Though our friends now have babies, we were the first ones to have kids.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was different for the first like 5 years when no one else had kids. It was a little bit of a different realm. So
Hmm.
enjoy Cole, and that's a cool scenario to have, and that's
Hmm.
that's awesome.
What do you guys
And
remember about your child? I'm sorry, Riley.
oh no, go for it.
What do you guys remember about your childhood that you're trying to like create with your own kids? Does that make sense?
Mm,
Or
I like that. Yeah.
how does that connect to how you parent?
I
Uh,
think, yeah, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Cole.
No, you go ahead.
For me, it's interesting because my kids are really high energy and they need a lot of stimulation, especially Maze. And for me, sports was my passion and my outlet, and I really recognize that as an adult. And though it seems like we're always like running to each sporting thing, if we weren't doing sports, we'd be a little lost in terms of like the day to day. And like we do get those down days, and it's nice to have those like chill moments, but we need to be active and proactive. So I am trying to create the atmosphere of your friends are your sports friends. Going to practice is exciting and fun and rewarding, not like a chore.
Mhm.
So I micromanage that by being the coach and making sure that the environment is good. So I'm trying to duplicate that, hopefully that love and passion which Rumi has found for sports for my kids, but then also making sure that they have those just real connections and those down days and kind of those close friendships that aren't just about that, but
Hmm.
it's not all about sports, but I definitely have
That's
tried
a
to duplicate
big
that
driver.
in my system.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, but like it's so much more than sports, obviously. It's like you're
Yeah.
learning so many different aspects of life. Like it's not just hitting a ball. And it's so cool that you dedicate so much time to be their coach. I mean, I feel like we grew up and dad was kind of our coach here and there, and it was just always so special when that happened. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
you have such a direct hand in making memories for your kids. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's from an outsider, I'm
I know.
like,
It's
oh,
unbelievable.
holy shit, but
Yeah.
I really admire it truly deep down. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
Cole, you had much more of a tragic childhood. How has that
Yeah. I would
How has
agree.
how has
I would
that,
agree.
made you the man you are today and the parent you are today?
Well, I mean, I was just kind of thinking about, what like from my childhood that bringing that up, and you sort of think about the stage, I guess, that your kid is in. I don't remember necessarily being two, but I remember being young and just feeling, having a sense of comfort, especially at a younger age before you start butting heads a little bit, maybe later in life. But that sense of comfort at home, and trying to kind of foster that with Ren, and she's just kind of she's just doing Tuesday Thursday kind of daycare or school, and it's pretty cute. But that's kind of our first little foray into having her go out and be on her own, and not having total control over what she's doing and everything like that. And just obviously expecting that that's just going to evolve more and more and more and more until it's a lot more of that than being at home and hanging with me. So,
Hmm.
cherishing these moments while we have them. And I can't believe I was taking care of Miller last night. He's 9 months right now, and I already feel like I can't even remember when Ren was just like crawling around and couldn't really talk that much or anything like that. But that also seems like it was just yesterday. So time is
Yeah,
flying.
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, wait, I want to ask one more question before we switch gears, Brandon. This is a selfish question. As someone who's like on the precipice of kids, they're in the near future for me. Like, I'm curious for you guys how your relationship with yourself, I think mainly yourself. I won't even bring partners into the mix, but like how does having kids change just you and surviving and like your self-development and anything related to that? I'm just curious what you guys think.
Um, Shane, were you gonna go?
Go ahead.
It's just, I mean, I think it changes your identity a little bit, and I think you look at the things that you're doing sort of through a different lens of, I don't know. I feel like you always think about your parents as being parents, then all of a sudden you're in that same role, and I think that becomes, kind of slowly. I think initially they're just tiny and they're not doing a whole lot. They're sleeping a lot, and it's especially for the husband a lot more mama time with the breastfeeding and everything like that. But then I think now as she's getting older and everything like that, it's picturing yourself as you were a kid and having like your parents or knowing somebody else's parents, and just kind of realizing that that's you now. And so I think
Hmm.
that's part of your identity, and that becomes a factor in sort of all the decisions you make, because that's who you are now. So I would say that's the biggest change for me, I guess. But
Hmm.
Um, to derail your podcast, to go back to the last question, I don't want to forget this or miss this point, but the sports thing is great, but also trying to duplicate our family experience, like what we had as kids. I had this great network of the cousins around, like specifically Clay and Cole, and Jamie and Julie, and that environment was like the home center was that family, kind of Brandon and Laurel and Grandma, and that was kind of trying to duplicate that. And my kids are lucky enough to get a lot of that because they have Grandma and Lolo and my mom around. So that's a big aspect of what is kind of important too, is maintaining that family centric kind of idea, the extended family centricity. So I didn't want to miss that point because it's not all about sports for me, though it pretty much is. It's not all about sports.
Shane, do you remember when we still lived in California? Like, did your memory go back far enough to where you were hanging out with Clay, or I was a
Yeah,
little kid
yeah,
running around?
probably because I was older than you guys, but definitely the trips up to Rancho Cucamonga to your guys' apartment are very ingrained. And just I have memories of time spent at the pool at the apartment complex, or times when you guys would visit us in Mission Viejo. So between like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for me was super formative. Or the trips to Virginia, I can remember
Hmm.
vividly every moment of those. Or to Minnesota, I even went out there once alone. I don't know if I was 11 or 12 to Minnesota, to your guys' old house on the same street as Art and Lou. So I remember those
Yeah.
memories very vividly. So that to me was a huge aspect because we didn't have that kind of friend community as a kid, and that was fine. It was my sports friends or the family. So that's maybe
Hmm.
probably why those two are the important ones. So hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Hmm.
And just to the that last question though, to sum up for me, and there's probably a lot of things, but it's the fulfillment changes. So like my fulfillment used to be me having my friend groups or my playing my sports or my career success. Now my fulfillment, like it's not, it's maybe shouldn't be so much so, but my fulfillment comes from the kids' achievements or successes or growth
Hmm.
or my interaction. So kind of your individual fulfillment changes of what fulfills
Hmm.
you and kind of what drives you and
Hmm.
full circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cole,
Love
you,
that.
you you brought something up that made me think about the tragedy of memory. Like, you don't remember much California time with Shane?
I mean, I was just kind of thinking about that as he was talking because I don't remember that super well. Like I remember getting um and I can't even like totally picture our apartment, but I remember we had what
Yeah.
we thought was kind of an angry neighbor, and we used to play racquetball. Like I don't know, I
Yeah.
think there was like a little parking area down in between with like the little patios off the back, and
Yeah.
we would be bouncing the racquetball. And if we got it up on his deck, we were like, "Oh
Oh,
God, we're gonna have to
I
go
remember that.
ask him for it," and like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is just the worst thing ever." So I remember that, but I don't necessarily remember hanging out by the pool. And it's also hard, I feel like, when you look back at that because you've been told stories and you've looked at pictures, and every time you remember something, you're kind of taking a picture in your own mind of that memory, and so it can
yeah.
evolve over time or whatever. And so I feel like when you've been told stories or looked at certain things, I don't know if the origin of that memory is was in my actual
Right.
memory or if
Right.
it's sort of something that I
Yeah.
created
No,
now later,
it's
So
Yeah.
it's so weird because like Maze, how old is Maze? He's 6.
Six.
So he's now going to start remembering stuff. Like the first
Hmm.
5 years, but he not, and Ren and Miller, they're not going to remember any of the first 5 years. Of course, they're
Mhm.
important,
Hmm.
but it's a weird thing.
But I
It
also
is
think
so
You
about
just
that
bizarre.
lost
too.
all
Like,
that memory together.
do you remember being 4 when you're 7? I mean, or is there,
Oh,
you always think
oh,
about it as like
interesting.
a hard cutoff, like, oh, you're not going to remember the first 5 years. Maybe not when you're 15,
Oh,
but I
Yeah.
interesting.
also feel like you have this window of true memory that
Hmm.
follows you throughout your life. Maybe you remember the last 10 years, and then the stuff that's before that starts to be those memories that you've mentally taken pictures of over and over and over
Interesting.
again, and
Yeah.
you become
That's true.
further away from that thread. But
Hmm.
I do think about that because people always say that, oh, you don't remember anything before 5. But I'm like, well, I wonder if when I'm 8, do I remember something I did when I was
That's a
4?
great question.
You
Ask Rumi those questions and Maze those questions because I'm very
Hmm.
curious about that.
They
Yeah.
Hmm.
have, and they do have memories. I can tell you how far back they go, but they'll tell us things they remember from currently from within that reach of time. So yeah, that's a good point.
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, wait. Keeping on the family little train, Grandma will be listening to these. She's really looking forward to hearing all these conversations. Brandon, I wanted to ask all of the cousins, like when you think about Grandma, how would you describe her influence on you and your mind and your way of thinking, your childhood, any way you want to take that?
Yeah, grandma's definitely always been kind of my spiritual guide, and even is for Rumi currently. It's she gets a lot of ideas from her and in their conversations and things. So always kind of a spiritual and emotional guide in a way. And I've told her that, and she kind of, I think she hopes she understands that. Um, of probably the only person that kind of gave me that bandwidth of ideas and thoughts. Maybe not the only one to bring them up, but to actually make the impact and kind of make me think outside the box or be more just accepting or aware of questioning just whatever's in the box.
Hmm.
So yeah, really a thinking guide and a spiritual and emotional guide, my whole life.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Mm.
That's like literally how I would answer too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cole, what about you?
Me too.
I mean, I would agree with that, and I think it's interesting because I had sort of a like I think of sort of all of you guys out there in California, even though I guess I'm straight north now, but that whole family out there, just the difference between my mom's side and the Whitney side. And I think a big part of that is the conversations that we had and sort of the depth of conversation or talking about sex or death or drugs or whatever it is, not really having off limits things. Whereas I feel like my mom's side of the family is great, but they kind of want to stay up here, kind of above, a little more Puritan society type of deal. Like don't really want to delve down and have a deep conversation like that, or at least it doesn't come up organically. So I guess I think of grandma as being sort of the person who probably fostered that on the Whitney side of the family, and I've always noticed that sort of trickle down to all of you guys.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting to like compare the two sides of your family because I feel the same with like dad's side, for example, Shane and Whitney's side, and just the topics of conversation are just so different. I remember, anytime I'd bring friends into the family and my friends would be exposed to grandma and the family, they would just be like, "What? Like, this is how your family operates? Like, these are the topics that you guys discuss? Like, this is wild." And I never really knew that it was kind of a little bit different for your grandma to talk about aliens and, sex and death. I just thought that that was kind of, all grandmas were like that.
Yeah. Yesterday, Rumi started talking out of nowhere to me, and she said, "Dad, it doesn't really make sense that we evolved from chimpanzees, but then there was the Egyptians and the Greek people." Like she goes, "It just doesn't add up to me. It's just not right. It's definitely some alien influence or something going on." And that was just out of her thought process. And I think it's from conversations, but I think there's a lot that we don't understand of passed on consciousness and understanding that is family centric and passed down through bloodlines, and
Hmm.
past experiences get shared, so that there's more to it. Because and Maze is very already like that and likes to question things and think that way. So I think that talking about them at this age, they already have that influence and are like already that way. And whether it's a little bit of nature and nurture, probably a little bit of both, that's
Hmm.
it's maintaining. So that's pretty cool. That
Hmm.
grandma definitely drove that, but it seems that everyone kind of maintains that,
Hmm.
which is awesome.
That's such a trip for your child to look at you and say something like that.
Yeah. And
That's
I
I
was like,
love
hell
it.
yeah. I said, I think
Yeah.
there's aliens in the ocean, and they're probably living around us. She goes, yeah, that's probably. And she goes, and they're not. Everyone's worried about them attacking us. They're not going to attack us. It's. She's like, if they did wanted to, they would have already done it.
That's so
yeah.
cute. I love that. Oh,
She's a thinker.
Yeah.
yeah, she is. And a feeler for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're at 23 minutes. We're doing really well on time, actually. Brandon,
Oh,
we
is
have a
that did
few.
you started at the very beginning or once we all logged in?
Yeah,
Oh, very good.
yeah.
All right. Bye.
Hmm.
So
Oh, I
let's get into sex since you're used to talking about it and all that. No, just joking.
like wait, no.
Like, wow, where is he going to take this?
Drugs, sex, let's do it. Death, which one? Pick
We
one.
said
No.
those were off topic.
Okay, guys, here's another one. What occupies most of your mind space? Actually, before you answer that, do you guys think in images or do you have a voice in your head? Have you
Mm,
ever thought about that?
Um.
Do you have a
Uh.
narrator or do you like see or feel stuff in your head?
Probably it's both. I think.
I think both, but I guess I don't really have like a strong narrator.
Hmm.
Think more in images and ideas. I don't know.
And what do you guys like what are the main kind of things that you're constantly ruminating on, thinking about, besides the minutia of life and tasks and that sort of thing? Like what are the big topics that you are constantly thinking about?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, I think, well, and I'm just as I'm thinking about that right now, I'm kind of thinking of, I don't, I feel like I'm kind of on, you end up a little bit on autopilot, I feel like with work, and then I just feel like I'm always kind of doing something, so I'm not
mm,
necessarily maybe until I lay down in bed at night or something like that, just thinking. Um,
Hmm.
like I probably used to do that a lot more, but I don't
That's
know.
fair.
So I feel like I am kind of stuck in the hamster wheel of just life
That's
going on.
life as a young
Yeah.
parent. Yeah, that's true.
Survival mode.
Yeah.
I don't think about much, but the question is good. But I think for just because of my work focus and managing my adult baseball team for 15 years and my now Maze's baseball teams and Rumi's softball teams, it's like a lot of team enhancement thought process, a lot of how do I improve these people as individuals and as team players and grow their skill sets. So a lot of my time and mental space is thinking about my family of those exact things. How do I enhance the experience for Rumi, for Maze, for their teammates, for my staff? So it's a lot of it is like it's like always this coaching mindset. So like I think I'm just always in a coaching mindset. It's like innate for me that I can't not coach. So my thoughts are often centered on team improvement and individual improvement. Um, Maybe I should work on myself and think about myself, but I'm always thinking of everyone else and how to improve them, and what I can do to be an impact for them. It takes up a lot of my space, but it's a lot around the kids and Megan and
Hmm.
I's life of improving either whether it be physical, the house, or just tasks, or executing to improve the day to day or the team. So yeah,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
lot of just coaching mindset. I think my brain has a tough time being off coach mode.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see
Is
that.
that a lot of like like you're thinking about, a team of kids, like what are you thinking about to enhance the team structure? Like,
Yeah. So
what's an example?
yesterday is a great example. We've had probably 15 practices and the girls work really hard. Like they're a little competitive team and Rumi's our team captain and she's, kind of a great standout, but the whole team doesn't always operate as a team. So yesterday, rather than running practice, I split them up into three teams and they did like four team building challenges. So they played tic tac toe against each other with the softball. They did relay races with each other. And after each round of it, they had to meet as a little mini team and digest and discuss how to improve their communication, their game plan. And it was so cute. And then I finished with this drill called the plate drill, which I learned at a leadership camp of you put out these 30 plates on the ground, and as a team of four you have to touch them 1 through 30, and the first time you do it takes like a minute and a half. Next time they talk it takes like 45 seconds, and if they're really good it could take like under 30 seconds. It's very hard to do, but it's all about how you have to actively communicate properly and work together on individual and team goals to really find success. So I had to come up with a plan because we needed to really get that through because we have great individuals, but the team isn't, we work really hard for a few innings and then they get a little lost and squirrely, and having them learn how to communicate your goals or your expectations and how to get there. So it's not just about practicing harder and trying harder. You have to know people want to win, and I know how to win, but you have to learn the process and the steps that it takes to get there. You can't just want it more. You have to actually learn the skills to get to success. And it was
Hmm.
really validating. And they couldn't stop talking at the end of practice about their ideas and how, wow, that was just like the game where you have to think about the next play before you actually make the play. And if I told her that you got plates 3 through 5, like we were so fast, and it was so cute because they grasped the team building challenge, and so I had to come up with a game plan of how to get that out of them. So that was an example of that. For the kids, it's making sure that their thought process isn't just about them individually, and also how they need to work towards the team goal. So it seems to be, and that's a skills in life and in sports. So it's hand in hand, that
Hmm.
team thought. But that's an example of how I am trying to get that out of kids, is not just try harder and want it more and work harder, because
Hmm.
that isn't that's it's one way to do it, but it's not the holistic way that I've
It's
learned.
so cute. I love that.
Wonderful.
It's
Yeah.
so thoughtful.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of thought that goes into something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shane, have you ever had to deal with like on one of Rumi's teams or something like that, a kid that is kind of being left out, whether that's socially or something like that? And how, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, and I had a solution for that too. In All Stars this last season, we all stayed in a hotel in Lancaster for 3 nights, and they played, 6 games up in this 100-degree heat, and we really had to work as a team, move as a team, hydrate as a team, and everything. And then the night before our last game, we were playing a team that we had lost to 3 times in San Diego, and all the girls came into our room and they dyed their hair purple. But this girl, Avery, I knocked on her door and they didn't answer. And so she didn't get to go. And she showed up at the game the next morning, our biggest game of the year at state championship. And she showed up. Mason, no, I can't. And she showed up and was so sad that all the girls had purple hair and she wasn't a part of that experience. So in the moment, I had to come up with this, what I call is like a build up circle. And there's half the girls in the middle facing out, half the girls around, and you guide conversation of tell that girl in front of you, one thing you're scared about today. Tell that girl in front of you one thing you hope to achieve today. And you keep going around, you finish with them pumping up the other person, tell them something they've done great, and then tell them how as a team we're going to get it done. So in the moment, you have to have tools and ways to navigate people feeling left out and getting them back on the same page. And I had, 10 minutes to do that. And we beat that team that day. And if we hadn't come together prior to the game, we would have 100% lost because we were fragmented, Cole. And that girl, just one girl feeling that way was killing the whole team momentum that we had built for 2 months. So you have to be aware and really tuned into what they need and then have proactive solutions in a sense to solve it in the moment, not just pull her aside and say, hey, I knocked on your door and you didn't answer. It didn't solve that she was still sad about it.
Right.
Then after the pump up circle, it was like she was happy and she felt great because someone told her how great her braid was and that she had crushed the ball yesterday. So it
So cute.
just knowing and navigating, kids. And, my reward for that is I go on campus and, I've coached 50, 60 kids at roomies and Mays school and they're coach, coach, coach. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot of effort and work, but the reward is pretty significant and cool for me. That's what fuels me.
Cool.
Hey, Cole, do you think Ren will get involved in sports or activities, or do you have a plan for that? How are you gonna approach that?
She did like under 2-year-old soccer this year, and I mean, it was like maybe 6 practices or something like that. A couple girls from the high school and were the coaches, and they didn't like having games or anything like that, but they were just kind of doing drills and stuff like that. And then it was right next to the practice was right next to a playground, and so Ren was pumped to go to soccer, then go on the slide or on the swing. She's done that. She's done some music classes and stuff like that. But again, like just kind of exposure stuff, not like, we're not teaching her how to play a violin yet, but she's just getting exposure to music and things like that. And so I feel like Lisa and her friends are good at, doing activities like that, going to the museum or whatever. So
Yeah,
but
awesome.
yeah, she's
So
not
cute.
quite at the stage where you're honing a skill like Cheyne's got going. So
Yeah. Hey, and
Running drills.
I
My
can
only
see.
my only food for thought is you never know when they're gonna like fall in love with it. So you don't have to push
Yeah.
them and push them and push them, but it just happens at different times if they do or don't. But
Mhm.
don't be nervous if she's not like showing interest in either sports or music or something. It's a different matriculation for all the kids I've seen, and sometimes it just snaps and like, oh my God, I love this in a moment you don't expect. So
Mhm.
Hmm.
just keep exposing her to things, and she'll
Yeah, pick
it'll
See
something.
what she latches on to.
Or she won't. I mean, my
Hmm.
kids didn't Bridget latched on. Shelby never quite got it until her 20, so just whatever. And I don't know if
Hmm.
you guys see the timer on the screen. We're 3 minutes. So
Already?
yeah, I got a
Oh
warning a
my
few minutes
gosh.
ago. So
Okay.
I was, and Riley might have a final question too, but favorite memory together, you guys, or best childhood memory together or apart or around the same time?
Oh, yeah.
I know you
It
got a
was
ton.
we have so many, and I was thinking of Virginia and everything. There was something about sledding that one time in
Oh yeah.
Minnesota. It was just
At
magical.
Suicide Hill.
Yes, there was something magical about that day. We all had so much fun. It was a kick-ass sled ride.
And
It
we got
was
a lot of
intense.
video. I think this day we have a lot of video of it too, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it was just so fun. And I think Megan was out there for the first time in Minnesota, and it was just like it was just so fun.
Oh,
There's
that was like
maybe
the
10
somebody
years
igloo
ago?
building time.
the igloo building
Yeah.
year, I
Yeah, yeah,
believe.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
that was
Yeah,
a
fun.
like
great family trip.
Yeah.
maybe more than
There's been
10,
so
maybe
many
like
though.
15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cole, what do you got?
Crazy.
Um, I don't know. I thought you were kind of asking favorite memory with, I guess, with Cheyne in particular, but so the thing that popped in my head was that time that you I would think it was just you, Cheyne, when we went up to the Boundary Waters
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
and you got just murdered by mosquitoes and
Yes, yes.
just covered in welts. But that was a really fun trip, and
That was really cool.
I wish I got up to the Boundary Waters more now, but it's been a while.
Brandon, I have one really fond memory that you'll probably, I don't know if you'll, I know you'll remember it, but something really that stuck with me for whatever reason. It's probably just because we worked hard together but we cut down your tree at the back of the pike and we mulched the whole thing. And then
Oh, yeah.
after, I think it was like 1 o'clock, I think you made us a couple steaks and we sat there and watched some shitty TV show and ate steaks. And
Oh, I love it.
I
That's a
felt
great
so
memory.
fulfilled that day. I don't know why.
That was
Oh,
really a stupid thing, man. I almost crushed my finger with one of those big branches, and it was a serious job, and I was taking
Yeah.
it on with a child, a young
Yeah.
kid. It was very potentially dangerous, so I'm glad we made it out alive. No, I remember
Fear
that.
bond. It was a fear bond, I guess. Maybe that was part of
I
it.
remember that. That was fun.
so
Um,
cute.
and any how about I guess right now we got a minute left. So final words, I guess, or
We can wrap up. That was awesome, you
yeah,
guys. I could have
boys,
talked
any
a whole lot longer.
yeah. You got
Yeah.
about 10 seconds each.
We just finished, but my boy wants to say hi.
Hey,
Hey,
buddy.
Oh,
buddy. Hey.
All right, well,
That's
we
cool.
love
Say
you
hey, cool.
guys.
Hey,
We're
Cole.
glad you could
hey,
make it.
Baze.
The
Yeah, love
timer's
you guys.
it's about to shut off.
Love you
Thank you for
too.
joining us.
This was
All
great.
right, good to see you guys.
Love you, Cole.
Thanks for
Yeah,
the first episode. Good job.
good job, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye.